Redditors with real-life butterfly effect stories. What happened and what was the series of events and outcomes? My mother's death. My mom was diagnosed with cancer while I was in community college. Unfortunately, she passed, and it was time for me to apply to colleges to transfer. I applied to a college out of state because the running joke in my family was that she loved this place so much, she would have come with me to college to live in my dorm room with me. I applied as a joke, never thinking I would get accepted. Turns out I did, and I accepted the admissions offer. 5 years later, I live 3,000 miles from home and have an amazing life studying science. If she didn't pass away, I would have gone to state school and followed my then boyfriend. I would probably be pregnant and married by now. But instead I am a very independent person who practically lives on the beach. You've probably been told this many times now, or at least I hope you have, but your mother would be so proud of you right now. I was very little and singing a song completely with made up words. My mom asked what it was, and I said Evelynese. My name is Evelyn. Then a year later I made up a fake country for that fake language, Evelyneness. Then I started making up some stories. Now it's a little over a decade later. I'm in high school, and I have a whole fictional world with 3 political superpowers that I won't name for personal reasons, but just know Evelyneness has a better name now. This world has a very intricate map of ecosystems, and soon, political borders of various eras. 5 distinct cultural and ethnic groups so far, and some unique flora and fauna. Former Evelyneness specifically has 20 families of nobility, 237 common families, a religion, a specific type of domesticated big cat, the bones of a conlang, 2 epics in the works, the first being adapted from older stories I made up, and I'm probably going to work on this until the day I die, all because toddler me wanted to throw some snark at my mom. Put it all in book form and be the next George R.R. Martin. I wasn't making the best life decisions after high school and was failing out of college. I was dating a girl who I broke up with despite it hurting in 2011. I couldn't stand to be home anymore, so I decided to join the Marine Corps. I was going to go infantry, but my recruiter talked me out of it and told me to go into a technical field. I learned IT and then got sent to Japan. My unit sent me to a different unit where I met some people who took me out to the clubs. I was supposed to stand duty on a Sunday 24-hour barracks watch towards the end of the month, but I was asked by a co-worker to switch duty days with them so they could go on a promotion board. This freed me up to go out that Saturday night. That's where I met my wife. When I got out of the Marine Corps, my wife didn't want to emigrate from Japan, so we decided I would work here. I now have a son and fulfilling career that I never would have dreamed of 8 years ago. All because of bad decisions and heartbreak. So my story with a man named Marcus is full of these, but I'll try to keep this from getting way too long. We were in an open relationship since I was 16. 2006. After I, in my head, swore I wasn't into him but finally agreed to a date, we both fell harder than expected. Between him being married twice and several deployments, we always found our way back to each other and never lost contact for more than a few days out of 10 years. He was my person and I was his kryptonite. A little about him: he had a love for fast bikes and really enjoyed his time on the Autobahn in Germany, as well as was part of a well-known bike club. Fast forward to December 2016. All in a day he is medically discharged from the military, days earlier than expected, signing his second set of divorce papers. His idea: bought a brand new bike to celebrate both. And we were talking plans to finally be serious and committed to only each other. I am talking to him around 7 PM. 9 PM I get a text from his best friend of a news article of a bike crash. Body of motorcyclist missing. 1. Had I not agreed to one date, I would have never known a 10-year love that altered the entire course of my life. 2. Had he been discharged days later as planned, he would have not been on that bike, on that bridge that night where someone in an SUV felt he was going too fast and purposely cut him off, causing him to hit their rear bumper and be sent flying into a lake where he wasn't found for 3 weeks. 3. Had that person not cut him off, the cop that had already clocked him moments prior, he was already in pursuit and pulled up right as the crash happened, would have had the chance to pull him over and give him a ticket, and he would have made it home. and right now my head would be in his lap as he played Call of Duty instead of me sitting here alone 2 years later crying about it to stranger. There are even more things that happened in between, but this is already too long. Thanks for reading. They were promoting at work. 5 people were to be promoted to a higher position in the casino, from floor supervisor to pit manager, a much higher paying, better position. It was a huge staff with many applicants for these 5 positions. The casino manager was bringing in each applicant and letting them know whether they were promoted or not. The 3 guys he brought in previous to me each took their rejection very bad. The guy right before me took it so bad that there was almost a fight, much arguing. Guy really thought he should have been promoted. Now it's my turn to come in and be rejected for the promotion, and I can see this casino manager is washed out by the last 3 guys. People taking the rejection very hard. I tell him it's okay, maybe I'll get it next time around, and I'm of the belief that things happen for a reason. All BS. But the truth is I wasn't really upset at all. We had a nice chat about our families and I believe he was really relieved that I didn't give him a hard time. About 5 weeks pass, and he calls me up to his office to promote me to casino administration manager. I get an office right next to his, and now share his secretary. It was the sweetest position in the casino. Great pay, great schedule, tremendous opportunity and a ton of responsibility. It introduced me to all of the next level managers and owners and investors. My career took off and I just retired after 38 years. I held all of the highest positions that you can hold in my industry and had a blast. The guy told me one day that because I was so casual during my initial rejection, and because I didn't break his balls at that vulnerable moment, that he thought I would be a nice guy to work with. Well, you know, I had this guy's back for the rest of his career. My mother and her 5 siblings were deported to Auschwitz in May of 1944. Soon after arriving by train, my mother was placed into a line of people assigned to take showers after their long trip. My mother was 13 and was holding her mother's hand, obviously very frightened. A Nazi soldier spotted this and ordered my mother out of the line and into another line, which was for the work camp. The soldier had apparently seen my mother holding her mother's hand and thought it would be funny to separate them and make my mother cry, which he did. My grandmother told my mother not to worry, she'd see her later. My mother went to the other line and was quickly taken away to the barracks. My grandmother was gassed to death about 15 minutes later, along with one of my uncles. My mother worked in the labor camp from May of 1944 until the Russians liberated Auschwitz in January of 1945. She lived with her older sister in Romania for a few years after that and eventually met a man who would become my father. I'm sitting here, writing this post, over 75 years after that Nazi soldier cruelly separated my mother from her mother. He unwittingly ensured that I would be born, and so would my brother and my 4 children. Had he sneezed, or turned away, or was somehow distracted from his duties, possibly thinking about some Fräulein or another, and didn't separate my mother, I'm not here today. Me deciding to switch schools. Mom, hey Luke, do you wanna switch to a school closer to home instead of staying at Faithway Christian School? Me, yeah sure, led to the end of me getting bullied, all of my current friends, me being a better, more ambitious student, my future career choice, my entire music taste, my first GF, my first ex, learning about issues and the 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 learning about a single yeah sure from a half-awake 5th grader on a whim 4-5 years ago literally led to me becoming an improved person and finding out who I wanted to be. Mom died when I was 3. If she hadn't died, my children wouldn't exist. The short version, my dad wouldn't have remarried and we wouldn't have moved and I wouldn't have met my husband. The source of my deepest grief also gave me my greatest joy. I was strolling through iFunny 2 years ago and left a comment on one of the featured pictures. A guy responded to my comment. We kept replying to each other for a few days and then exchanged our kicks and started texting on there. 2 years later and we're now married and have a 3-month-old daughter. I have PCOS and my doctor informed me I probably could never have children, and he was previously married for 10 years and never had any kids, no matter how much he tried. Later on he found out he had a really low sperm count. Pretty much impossible for us to have any baby, but we have our daughter now. She is a perfectly healthy baby. I joined orchestra because in 4th grade a girl I had a crush on said she liked violin. 5th grade, she didn't actually join orchestra but my teacher was nice and gave us candy. 6th grade, same teacher, still got candy. 7th grade, some friends from 5th and 6th grade said they were still gonna do it so I said what the heck. 8th grade, same as 7th. 9th grade, I finally quit. For like a week and a half. I hated drawing but I needed an art credit so back to orchestra. 10th grade, we get like 4 field trips a year. Cool people in my class and I need another art credit. 11th grade, I quit for a year because I needed an OCED credit to graduate. 12th grade, I joined again. I got offered a spot on the university orchestra when I got to college. TL. Doctor, my entire life would be completely different if I had not watched one clip of a movie as a child. When I was about 6-7 years old, I must have been on the Disney Channel when a commercial for the classic movie Follow Me Boys came in. It's a movie about Boy Scouts. The clip was only a few seconds long, but in that time, I was intrigued. I begged my mom to drive me to Blockbuster where I rented the movie, watched it at least 4 times, decided to join Cub Scouts. When I was ready to become a Boy Scout, I decided to join one particular troop because one of the scouts in it was patient enough to listen to me regardless of my stutter. His name was Forrest. Forrest was my mentor through most of Boy Scouts and high school. He introduced me to the members of the photo club, where one of the members was in theater. I went with her to a couple rehearsals and was so fascinated by tech that I wound up joining and committing 3 years of my life to theater tech. Finally, in my senior year, having made lifelong friends, 3 relationships through theater, won 2 awards for theater accomplishment, I made my Eagle Scout rank. My grades weren't the best, and if it weren't for that Eagle Scout rank, I may not have gotten into the college of my choice. Having a passion for theater tech, I chose to study new media, where I have since come to college, fallen in love twice, and found one of the best jobs I may ever have. All from seeing a clip on Disney Channel. When I was 15 or so, a Louisiana black bear ran across the road in front of my car. I'm way out of their native range and it really struck a chord with me. It triggered my decision to focus on wildlife management going forward. I have my degree now and work with alligators, but I've worked with bears in the past. All because me and some lost bear crossed paths on a rainy night. Late to the party, but I'll share mine. I moved a potted plant on one side of an elevator about 3 inches up to be symmetrical with the other. The guy walks in and breaks his toe on it. I think he was running. And on the way to the in his car with a co-worker driving, they got into a car wreck. I was encouraged to enter a poetry competition by my teacher when I was about 17. There was a cash prize, so I decided after some convincing that I would give it a try. I ended up winning, and my poem became published. A couple of months later I get a message on Facebook from a girl who would like to know more about the poem, because she has to analyze it in connection with her upcoming exam. It turns out her and I are about the same age, so we decide to meet up and discuss it. We've been together for 4 years now and we're getting married next month. I often wonder what my life would look like if my teacher hadn't approached me back then. My grandma got an abortion after being raped at the tail end of 17. Less than 9 months later, she met my scumbag grandpa and got pregnant with my mom. She had 3 kids with grandpa and another daughter with her second husband. They had a secretly shotgun wedding. If grandma hadn't gotten that abortion, she'd be short 3 kids and 11 grandchildren. Funny, my grandma had 3 kids with my scumbag grandpa, another daughter with her second husband, and has 11 grandchildren. I had a crush on someone at 2nd grade. I did what a 2nd grader would do when they have a crush on someone. I had to transfer school, and what I didn't know is she also developed a crush on me. 7 years later, I transferred to a different school again. To my surprise, she was also in that school. I only realized when she talked to me on the 2nd week of class. She was my classmate. Well, she did the first move this time. A year later, she's now my GF. In the co-ed dorms in college, the girl that lived next door to us dated one of the guys upstairs. It did not go well. and he and the rest of the guys really disliked her. They would stomp and jump and make horribly loud noises to make her mad, which led to my friends and I going up there to yell at them. We really just wanted to scare them into thinking we were P. And that's the night I met my now husband. He was the roommate of the guy. Not me, but my grandpa. His first wife cheated on him with his best friend, so understandably he was very P and wanted to get away. His aunt recently moved to Australia and he figured he might as well start a new life there, but he already had 2 kids with his ex and she was worried he wouldn't pay child support if he left the country. She went and got his passport taken away under the premise that he was trying to flee his responsibilities, so he wasn't able to leave. The day after his supposed departure, he went to get drunk at an old colleague's housewarming party and met my grandmother, who was there on a date with another man. They looked at each other and never looked back. Been married 52 years and are as in love today as back then. If his ex-wife wouldn't have been so worried about payments, my grandpa would have gone to Australia. My grandma probably married her date and I would not exist. Was 18. At my first year of highly prestigious military university. I loved it. I thrived there. I was at the top of my game. I knew what I wanted to do, how to get it, and I was doing it. We were at the O course and we were doing rappelling. I was making my way down the wall when my leg got caught up in the rope. I flipped and my brake hand couldn't react in time. My belayer, dude who is supposed to be watching the rappeller and can pull the rope taut arresting your descent, was not looking at the rope. He was looking at the trees, the bees and the birds. Nature there was and is beautiful, but he was not watching me. I fell around 12 feet onto the side of my head and my shoulder. Completely messed my body up for a significant period of time and even now I can't lift my right arm all the way above my head. My life changed in 1 stroke 2 of a second. Went home depressed, ate McDicks every day, got fat, played video games, did nothing with my life, just felt sorry for myself, ended up getting a degree online, decided I liked learning, got a master's, eventually moved to Asia. Now I work no more than 4 hours a day. My 3 bedrooms 2 bathrooms on the beach is $220 a month in rent. I just ride my motorcycle and drink 50-cent beers every day. Motorcycle before the beers, don't worry. I am very happy, but I am also still fat lol. Been switching from fat and nasty drinks which I had been hooked onto good ole coconut water which I can find right outside my door. So far so good. I'm alive by a decision my grandparents made back when North and South Korea was just one Korea. My father's parents had a huge rice plantation and a lot of assets in the north. Rumors of the country splitting were pretty rampant across the area, but it was just that, rumors. They eventually decide that it's too much of a risk to stay, because it doesn't matter how much property you have if the government owns everything. So they took a boat to the south. 7 days before the DMZ cut Korea in half. They started life over with practically nothing, but they did okay. Had 7 kids. My father met my mother in Incheon, South Korea. They gave birth to me. Now I live in America. 2 generations removed from a poverty-struck third world country family. Now I'm living comfortably in the middle class. Life is good. I moved home in February of 2012 after living with my grandma for almost a year. Being an awkward gay chick back in her hometown, I decided I needed to make new friends. I got on chemistry.com because it had a setting where you could pick gay, straight along with man, woman and the filters. I wasn't looking for a relationship, just friends. But this cute girl popped up in the search and I clicked her page. We had almost identical interests and she lived very close to the college that I had friends at an hour away. She messaged me. I paid for an account to message back, and we got to talking and hit off immediately. Then I realized that I'd clicked on the wrong profile. She wasn't the girl from the picture and the picture wasn't a great one of her, to be honest. The profile pics on the site back then were very small and terrible quality. Long story short, we kept talking, went on a date, and celebrated 7 years together in February of this year. Oh, and she was much cuter in person. LOL. My parents' whole relationship is a butterfly effect, and without that, I wouldn't even exist. My parents both happen to know this one person, in completely unrelated ways. My dad used to work on the stock floor, and knew this person through other people, eventually becoming friends. My mom worked with this person and became friends through that. There was a dinner party hosted by this person, but my dad was still in a tentative relationship with someone. My parents hit it off, but it took a few more happenstance meetings before their friends basically cajoled them into going on a date. My dad broke up with his girlfriend for unrelated reasons and eventually began dating my mom. There were one or two instances when my parents almost broke up permanently, but something or someone always saved the relationship. The funniest thing about this is that my mom almost didn't go to the original dinner party. She knew she wouldn't know many people there, and her little introvert self resisted until the last. This was the biggest butterfly effect. Had she not gone, she would have never met my dad. Her parents, my grandparents, are also a butterfly effect relationship, which is a very interesting coincidence. When I was 14, my brother asked me if I wanted to go to school with him on a Saturday to hang out while he worked on a school project. I never really hung out with my brother because I didn't think he was cool at the time, but I said, "Frick it," and went. It turned out to be a stage crew rehearsal for The Sound of Music my high school put on. I decided to be a part of the stage crew for the entire show's duration. Then I discovered that I was interested in theater. Through theater I met my first boyfriend, became close friends with my second boyfriend. My second boyfriend wanted me to go to the same college as him, and I didn't want to go there, so I compromised and chose a school midway. He and I broke up, and on the summer break before my senior year of school, the lead guy from The Sound of Music, who I was only acquainted with but followed on social media, posted a pic of him playing Pokemon Go. I played Pokemon Go too and didn't want to play by myself, so I asked if I could play with his group of friends. We become close that summer. I go back to school for senior year, and he and I get together. My third boyfriend. We have been together for 2.5 years. I live with him, and we go to see the shows my high school puts on even though we no longer know any of the kids in the shows. No idea what my life would be like if I wasn't bored that day. I thought about deleting Tinder before a dog walk. Before this I swiped right for the last time. We matched, met up and now have been together for a year and can't imagine things without her. If I hadn't procrastinated deleting Tinder, I may have never met my GF. Girlfriend's sister bought a husky puppy. Puppy gets into her purse and eats her birth control. Sister gets pregnant. Girlfriend goes to the hospital and when she goes into the delivery room leaves her purse in the waiting room. Gets stolen. Has her birth control in it. 9 months later here I am with a kid. Haven't slept in 18 months. Also my kid crap in the bathtub tonight. Again. I want to ask if you hate the dog or not, because that dog seemed to have it out for you all. Final Destination like. Me and my friends were playing D&D in the day room in our military barracks. We needed something from one of the players' room. So me and the player leave to go get it and end up bumping into another random airman. Ended up talking to him and he seemed pretty chill, so we invited him to the game. This airman introduced me to my future wife. If it wasn't for needing something from one guy's room, I would have never met my wife. We are now happily 5 years married and have a beautiful little girl. I tried to kill myself when I was 14 and was admitted to a psychiatric clinic. Because I was a teen I had to go to classes in the clinic. A teacher there knew another teacher of a school he thought I would fit into perfectly. Changed school. I felt home for the first time in years in that school. I met my first love there. He helped me get a more positive attitude and essentially helped me out of depression and self-harm. It didn't work out between us but he's still one of my closest friends. Most friends I have now plus my taste in music is thanks to him. If I hadn't tried to end my life when and the way I did, I wouldn't have gone to that school. I would probably have a different job, group of friends, taste in music and attitude today. Or maybe I wouldn't be here at all because I would have gotten even worse and may not have failed my attempt in the first place. I got a fortune cookie that sent me to Taiwan. I needed direction in life, but since I couldn't talk to my dead father, I went out for Chinese food and got a fortune that said to teachers to learn twice. I milked it over and applied for a job at a local language school as an ESL instructor. 2 years later, an earthquake hit Taiwan and the company asks if anyone is interested in going to Taiwan to replace some English teachers at their sister school. They were not killed. They went home. Signed up for a 2-year hitch. Got a promotion. Then got a wife, a dog, a son and a daughter, because I like Chinese food. Back in 2015, my friend convinced me to try playing Destiny. I got the Taken King Edition PS4 and got moderately into it. January 2016, right before I take a break, I find a really cool LFG group. We clear the raid quick and exchange friend invites. April 2016, one of those guys starts to live a stream. I watch regularly because he was really good. One of the mods in chat scolds me for a tone deaf joke that I realize and apologize for. No harm done. Later this mod casually advertises that her clan is looking for members. I join up, and she becomes one of my closest friends over the next couple months. Not particularly exciting in the grand scheme, but I like to tell the story of how I met my bestie through a video game. Especially because I may have never met her if that LFG group had been just a couple minutes before or after I looked. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.